What's up, everybody? Hey, Tom Laird here, host of the Advice from a Call Center Geek podcast and founder of Expivia. For exceptional contact center outsourcing, trust Expivia. We're fully AI-driven, as all of you know, and can handle voice, email, chat, and all of your digital channels. Our 600-seat USA contact center is expert in healthcare, financial services, insurance, tech support, retail, and more. Experts on the NICE CX1 platform, we ensure seamless customer experiences. DM me or visit expiviausa.com for more. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Advice from a Call Center Geek, the Call Center and Contact Center podcast. We try to give you some actionable items to take back in your contact center, improve the overall quality, improve the agent experience, and hopefully improve your customer experience as well. My name is Tom Laird. I am an ICMI Top 25 thought leader, also the CEO here at Expivia Interaction Marketing. Expivia is a 600-seat hybrid contact center outsourcer located here in northwestern PA. How's everybody doing? I took a couple weeks off. We had a couple of new clients that we've been onboarding, so I guess my real job kind of got in the way of kind of my fun job here of hanging out with you on the podcast. Real quick announcement that I think can add some value to all of you. We're going to try something different, and this could be like the biggest flop of all time for me, or it could be something really cool that you guys enjoy, but I don't know. We'll see. We're going to try to do Advice from a Call Center Geek office hours on LinkedIn Live every Friday from 1 to 2 Eastern. And what that means is, like college, when you would just go to your professor's office hours, he could be just sitting there doing work. And if you had any questions, you could ask the question. So from 1 to 2, I'm literally just going to be on LinkedIn Live by myself at first, doing my work. And if any of you want to come in and ask a question, you can ask a question live. You can submit something to me ahead of time. You can talk in the comments, and that can be private. So that I don't want you to feel like your question could be silly or whatever. All questions are going to be answered, and we can talk through. So again, if there's one person that shows up, we can have an hour conversation if you want. If we have multiple people, we can have a cool Q&A. And if nobody shows up, well, then nobody's there, and I'll just be doing my thing. So again, we'll see. Again, I hope that this at least grows a little bit, and it's just another avenue for you to reach out and have access, and hopefully I can add some help and some value with your contact center. And hey, if you want to ask me about NFTs or Web 3.0, I'm more interested in that too. And I'm a big Steeler fan, football fan, basketball fan. We can talk about that as well. So anything you want to talk about, I'll be available. All right, so one of the things there was a big debate here with what we were going to do this week. And again, I apologize for taking 2 weeks off. I know I had some people like, hey, is the podcast done or what? No, the podcast isn't done. So again, it's pretty cool when there's people that are, they're used to listening to this pretty much every week. So appreciate you guys. Next week we're having a guest, and it's going to be a company called ThinScale. And we're going to have an awesome discussion that it's going to add a ton of value to a lot of you guys. And we're going to talk about, the industry adoption of the remote and hybrid operations, right? Specifically when it comes to security, endpoint management, kind of get into the weeds a little bit with some of that stuff. Talking about work at home security, VDIs, VPNs, and how, while they are helpful, they're not really inherently safe, and how we can, up our security with some kind of, I guess, tips and tactics that, I think that all of us should be at least aware of or thinking about. And one of the biggest topics that you guys ask me, to be honest, it's a topic for me, because we're having this internal debate as well, is BYOD, all right, or bring your own device, or having agents use their own device at home. What are some of the things we need to look out for? Can this be done? How can it be done well? And I think we're going to answer a lot of those questions next week. So, really excited for that discussion. We haven't really done a real hardcore kind of security contact center, really focused around the contact center in a while. So I'm excited for that. The other thing that, we have been kind of debating here is agents playing games, right? That's been a big topic as well. I did a LinkedIn poll about, what are some of the games, meaning ways that they get around calls, right? And not to be not as efficient as possible, to hang out after call work, those kind of games, not, games that we normally talk about, right? So we're going to do that this month as well, or moving into May, do a podcast episode on that, on some of the things that you need to look out for. What can you find and through your KPIs and through your dashboards, and what should you be kind of, again, looking out for when it comes to agents maybe doing some things that they shouldn't be doing. But today, I've had a lot of startups, newer companies that have outsourced, that they're now bringing their agents and their contact center back in-house, and asking kind of where to start, right? We've done a little bit of consulting work on this, and I wanted to kind of give you kind of the 5 pillars of things that if you're thinking of redoing your contact center, because that's what's been happening too, is new management or people have come in and seen that the contact center that they're operating or that their organization has just isn't up to snuff, right? So here's kind of the things. If I'm a startup and I was ever hired by some company that's just starting, and I was the head of call center operations for their customer service, what would be the first things that I would do to kind of get things up to snuff, get to where we need to be? The first thing is, we're going to have a discussion on what channels we're going to offer customers, right? And I think there's a lot of discussion that happens in your contact centers. Are you going to be just, offer that painful, which I disagree with, but I get that there's some financial implications to it, that email, right? Or just chat, or, send the chat and we'll get back to you within 4 hours. Like that kind of annoying customer support that startups kind of think is the right way to go because they want to put all their money into the development of their product. I guess I kind of see it. But the end result is you're alienating customers. Are you going to do a omni-channel or a multi-channel contact center? And what's the difference with that? Right? Omni-channel basically means it's omni-channel, voice, email, chat, SMS, digital, and we can be handling multiple interactions at the same time. Meaning, I could be taking a chat from a customer. The customer doesn't understand. I can then launch an outbound call to that customer. Maybe I hang up too early. That customer can call me back, right? We're all on the same interaction, right? Still kind of dealing with issues with those different channels. Multi-channel just basically means you're going to handle voice, chat, email. They're all kind of separate. So if a customer's on a chat, you're going to tell them basically, hey, call in. If you want to talk to someone in the line, you're probably not going to get me. How you want to handle that, right? That's the first question. And then from there, that sets the table. That's the framework for all your technology stack, how you're going to operate, what you're going to educate your reps on, how you're going to train, what reporting you're going to do, and then what software do you need from a QA standpoint, right? The second thing that I would tell my new boss is that we need to get the best technology that we can. If we have to talk about or make a decision over having really nice furniture and cool lighting and pictures on the wall, or having the top of the notch technology when it comes to how we're going to deal with our customers, you got to go with the technology. It's a no brainer, and you're going to be able to pay for more of those pictures on the wall once you have customers that are happy. Meaning, understanding that we're going to be in the cloud, right? It makes no sense in today's world to be a premise-based contact center from a cost standpoint, from a integration standpoint, from the tools that you can get, right? And then we're going to ask, what is really important to us? Is speech analytics something that we really need? I think it probably is. And it's not even so much to get customer insights, but for me, I love having agent sentiment and customer sentiment scores. I think that's really important on the culture of the organization and also how we're really treating our customers. Are we bigger? Are we over 50 seats or 100 seats? Do we need WFM? Do we not need WFM? Those are questions. But WFM, if you are a larger contact center, it's the no-brainer of no-brainers when it comes to an efficiency standpoint. And then the other question we need to ask is, how technology savvy are we, right? Do we have the people on staff that can handle, these integrations, that can handle some of the setup? Or do we need a professional services, right? Do we need to lean on an organization to help us with that? And that's something that, if you do, needs to be negotiated in our contract, not to get into the consulting side here, but, this is one of the biggest mistakes I see when a company or a individual goes out, doesn't really know what they're doing, and purchases contact center software without a consultant, without a broker, without somebody that has their back that can kind of guide them, right? There's so many things that you can get, kind of added on to your contract ahead of time to make your life so much easier. Again, not a cheap plug for our consulting, but that's something, again, if you're not going to talk to me about it, go make sure that you're talking to someone about it. The next thing is, how are you going to set up your education, right? And this would excite me, right, from a startup standpoint, because I would love to be able to hire my call center manager, or maybe it's just the supervisors for my teams, and have us all be able to have an insight into how we're going to do the education of the associates, right? Normally, all this is done when a supervisor or a middle management person comes on board. It'd be really cool to have really all of their buy-in, right? And to understand, what we want to train, what we're trying to educate on, how we're implementing culture into this. I think it would be really, really, really cool. The other thing is, how are you going to incent? How are you going to engage your associates? What games are you going to play? How are you going to make this fun? How are you going to make this place a little bit different than another call center that's maybe across the street? And I think with that too comes, in today's age, post-COVID, are we educating in the house? Are we educating all remote? That kind of has some cultural aspects to it too that would kind of tie into what I think the owners of this new startup that I'm working for, how they would kind of view that. All right, number 4 is making sure that all of my management team, if they're brand new, and also if I have a boss, right, who's above me, understands the KPIs of the contact center inside and out, right? What's service level? What's average handle time? What's an ASA? What's occupancy? What's after call work? Right? You can't be as efficient as you possibly can. You can't have people speaking the language of the contact center or making decisions on the contact center if they don't understand, right, the language, the dictionary of it. So this is really, really important. I see this all the time with clients that are looking to outsource that don't have a lot of experience, and they're doing the right thing, right? They're doing the right thing by coming to an Expivia, coming to me, coming to another contact center, be like, hey guys, we really don't understand this. We want you to be able to handle it. And here's kind of the things that we want. How do we track this? And for us to be able to kind of then, I guess, translate, some of the things that we're going to be doing for them. That makes total sense. But if we're pulling this thing in-house, we don't have that. I got to make sure that everyone on my team understands KPIs inside and out. And if you yourself don't, there's resources that we have created. There's call center dictionaries that we have. All this stuff is free. Go on my LinkedIn, listen to some other podcast episodes. We have all of this stuff. And the last thing is, how are you going to monitor? How are you going to do QA? Right? Are you going to buy a piece of software that's going on with your telephony platform, which I totally recommend, right? Whether it's a nice CX1, which is nice in contact, or a talk desk, or a UJet, any of those things that have a telephony, or a QA piece that kind of goes right with their software, makes total sense. It's normally a couple bucks, $7-8 per agent per month. Like we're not talking crazy expense here. But let's say you're not big. Let's say you only got 10 agents or 8 agents. I don't think you need that then. If you are that small, make sure that you have some type of Excel spreadsheet, which isn't great, but you can definitely do a Google Doc that you can make sure that you're constantly scoring your agents, make sure that they understand that you're monitoring, and that there's touch points that are going to happen with them if they need some help from an education standpoint, from a coaching standpoint. So that's my business plan that I would present to my new boss of some startup, right, that just hired me. We're going to have the discussion as a management group on what channels we're going to provide. We're then going to look at the best technology that we possibly can get with some add-ons as well, right? Again, these add-ons aren't super expensive, guys. Remember, you're going to pay anywhere from on the low end, maybe $125 to the high end, $275 per agent per seat if you're in the cloud, depending on what you want. So again, we're not talking about thousands and thousands of dollars here. So you can really try to really stretch budgets a little bit farther. The next thing is we're going to talk about how we're going to educate the associates, how we're going to engage the associates, how we're going to incent them, have a full plan on making sure that everybody's bought into our agents and how they're going to be trained and how we're going to have a world-class center. Number 4, we're going to make sure that we understand the KPIs inside and out, that we're going to understand if reps are playing any games, not playing like call center games, but like games for call avoidance, those kind of things. By the way, next episode, we're going to talk about that more. And then, the last thing we need to really discuss before we can really start is a QA piece, right? How are we going to do our quality? How are we going to monitor? And that's kind of where I would start. The cool thing is, I really didn't talk about things I would have talked about 10 years ago here, like network and while there's definitely some server implications and there's some wiring things if you're doing things internally, right? That's not the hardest piece of this. I mean, really, you don't have to have things hardwired, right? It's preferred, right? But you don't really have to have, you could be using Wi-Fi. I mean, for most of these telephony platforms, you could, a rep could be at a Starbucks taking calls, right? So that infrastructure build out that everybody's so used to and so scared of, it happens, but it's not to the extreme that it used to be. So again, I hope that helps some of you, or at least kind of spurs some thoughts into maybe some of the things that you can open up or change in your contact center. Or if you're starting something up, give me a ring. We can definitely have a call, or hey, hit me up Friday on office hours as well. So hey, that link, by the way, is for office hours is on my LinkedIn. I'll shoot it out again. But again, anybody who wants to have a conversation, love to talk to you, love to get to know some of you guys a little bit better. Thanks, guys. I really enjoy you guys. Appreciate you. Talk to you next week.